Hi, I'm Brian with Pioneer Builders. I'm a second-generation builder, and this channel is devoted to all things design, construction, operations, and maintenance. This particular video is talking about operations. Again, you can design a building well, you can build it well, but you really want to understand how it operates and how it functions. Specifically, we're talking about the operation of the HVAC system, more the heating and cooling and air cleaning side, as being able to do that with a special thermostat. The thermostat is the Trane ComfortLink 2 XL1050. I'm going to go through a lot of little features to it. You might learn some things just about thermostats in general, maybe about mechanical systems in general, but I'll take you through, we look at from the very beginning, looking at the screen and the screensaver. When we wake up that screen, what are some of the things that we can see? This particular house has an electronic air cleaner. So how that kind of relates in here. How you can see the compressor speed. One of the coolest things, one of the things I'm the most excited about though, is the app that goes along with it. So at this house, and I talk about it later, it's not lived in yet. We don't have the internet connected. We don't have a modem or a router. Instead, we're using my phone as a hotspot. That enables us to get so much more data. And so you'll get to see at the thermostat itself some of this information, but then I'll also take you to the app where you can see even more. And I think I pretty well just scratched the surface. If I was a true HVAC tech or a true Trane technician, I'm sure there's a lot more to do here than I even know is there. But hopefully this gives you a high-level view, maybe gets into the weeds just a little bit. But thanks for watching. And so again, the first thing that we're going to look at is the screensaver. Let's get going. When you haven't been using the thermostat, it automatically defaults into the screensaver mode. That's really what we're looking at right here. You can see the 70 degrees just kind of bouncing around there. There's settings that you can do, but I think this kind of makes sense just to see what's going on with the house. Now let's go ahead and tap on the screen and see what else we can learn. Once we wake up the thermostat, we can see this pretty easy to navigate user interface, but there's a lot going on here. The simple parts is the upper part, where we have the day of the week, the month, the year, and then the time. But on the upper right-hand side, you can see that we actually have data getting to the thermostat. When you first build a house, you probably don't have the internet hooked up, so you wouldn't have a router, you wouldn't have Wi-Fi. But what you might have is a hotspot, either using your phone or a tablet. I would really encourage having those things when setting up the thermostat. Now the thermostat will use without these things. The fact is, once you drive away from the house, it's going to lose the connection to your hotspot. But to really get it set up well and to be able to access all of the data, it is very helpful to have that. Now let's talk about some of the other features when you first wake up this thermostat. As we look through on the left-hand side, we see that it's showing, again, 70 degrees. The system is idle right now, and it's following the schedule away. The system being idle means it's really not calling for heating or cooling or anything to activate the system. In the center, there's 3 different things that we can tap on, which we'll do in just a second. We see it shows the outdoor temperature, it shows clouds, overcast, a low and a high, what the indoor humidity is, and then the compressor speed. Those can actually be reset to show different things. And then on the right side, we can have a manual adjustment for the heating and cooling. Let's go ahead and tap on these different apps and show you what we can find there. When we tap on the outdoor temp there, we can see it shows high and low and overcast. Right now where we're at outside, it's 40 degrees with a humidity percentage of 99% and a dew point of 90. But now check this out. we can see what the weather forecast is. So thankfully, we've got some decent weather here in the Pacific Northwest for the foreseeable future. A little cold in the morning, mid 40s in the afternoon, but that'll be nice. You can even tap on the radar. So now it's using my phone to grab that data, and right now, there's nothing really to show because there's no precipitation. And then you can show any alerts, and there are currently no alerts. We could change the postal code should we want to, but for now we'll just leave it as it is. When we look at the compressor speed, we can see that it's at 0%. We're at 70 degrees inside the house. Our set point is at 70, so that makes sense. Let's go ahead and turn this up and watch what happens to the compressor speed. Once we see what happens with the compressor speed, then we'll go ahead and turn it back down, which would essentially be telling the thermostat that the temperature set point has been satisfied, and we'll see what happens with the compressor speed. What this thermostat is really acting as is the coordinator between what's going on inside the house and the different pieces of equipment. In this house, it's connected to an air handler. It's also connected with an outdoor heat pump. And then there's an air cleaner, an electronic air cleaner, and there's strip heat. So there's a whole lot going on that needs to be coordinated. Right now, again, what we're really focusing on is just the air temperature inside the house. Now that we've seen that happen, we'll go ahead and turn it back down and watch what happens with the compressor speed. We see it drop to 38%, and it won't take too long before it drops all the way down to 0. While there are a variety of features with this particular thermostat, we'll just go through a couple of more specific ones. If we go from menu and then into the settings and then into the screen, we can actually adjust the screen layout. There's all of these different apps, 7 of which to choose from, but we can only have 3 displayed at any given time. If we take off the compressor speed, we can go ahead and tap the air cleaner and take a look at how that changes looking at the home screen. So we can see that the air cleaner is on auto. Again, there's an electronic air cleaner with this particular home. When we tap on that app, we can see that there's 3 different options. Right now it's at auto, so the air cleaner will run when the fan runs. We can also change it to quick, which is a 3-hour cleaning cycle. And then we'll do one more. That's the allergy, a 24-hour air cleaning power cycle. We can see how that changes, so if you tap on the display, you can see what's going on. I think that is a very, very cool feature. Now there's one more thing that I wanted to show you. When we go into the menu, we can look at the runtime history. This takes it just a little bit to get brought up, but you can see we basically installed the equipment back in August, and then it's kept all of this history by the month. We can also view it daily. Now from what I can tell, this daily feature only goes back with 7 days of history. But when we look, we can see that our average indoor temperature has been pretty well 70 to 69 degrees. That's exactly what we have it set at all the time, just keeping the house nice and steady. We can see the outdoor temperature high, the outdoor temperature low that was being sensed here. And even though we've had some fluctuations, we've been very steady inside the house. We can also take a look and see what's been running in the system. We won't spend any more time on that here because I really want to show that in the app. Now we'll talk about what I think is really cool. This is using my tablet to use the app, which is actually streaming information from my phone. Again, you can do all of this as long as you have a hotspot. So from the home page, we can see that it shows the thermostat and it shows a sensor. I'll talk about the sensor later, but let's go ahead and tap on thermostat. When we tap on it, we'll see much of the same information that we saw from the thermostat. We have the indoor temperature, we see what the set point is, we have outdoor temperature, the humidity, and then the compressor is at 0. That makes sense because it's not really doing anything. But we can see that we can change the temperature just from this particular screen. Other options are here, but what I really wanted to focus on was this history. Right now, it's showing us the daily history. It's showing us what parts of the system have been utilized, what parts of it have been running. When we tap on monthly, we can see it shows that we really installed the units back in August, just probably near the end of the month, but we can get an idea of how much usage has taken place. When we look at these different portions here, this legend on the right, we can see what it's been calling for. So it basically goes from coldest temperature up to the hottest. When it's the hottest outside, up to when it's the coldest outside. Back in August, we must have had some hot days. So we had some cool and we had some stage 2 cool. Now generally what we've been doing for heat is we've had heat, stage 2 heat, and then you'll notice a little bit, it shows right there, of auxiliary heat. Let's go ahead and tap on daily. Now when we tap on daily, we can see that it's kept track of about 7 days worth of history with how much the system's been running. We look at, it shows the outdoor high, the outdoor low, the average indoor temperature, which has been hovering right around 70. That's what our set point is set for all the time at this, while this house isn't sold yet. We have the average indoor humidity. It's been holding pretty steady, about 35%. And then we haven't been having the fan only run time, and we don't have anything there for vent. So what is this heat, and what is the stage 2 heat? The heat is referring to duty cycling. It's basically single stage. It's either on or it's off. Essentially, it hasn't been calling for very much to keep us at the set point. But back on Thursday, you'll see that it dipped into the stage 2 heat. That's really where it's getting into the variable capacity part of the system. While we do have strip heat, which is the auxiliary heat, we haven't dipped into that at all. And that makes sense. We see our averages have been 40s to 50s, and it's been down into the 30s. Now, on a very leaky house that's not very well insulated, it could be that the strip heat would be called for even more so. But as it stands right now, almost all of our heating has stayed in this duty cycling portion and then a little bit into the stage 2 heat. Now, while I didn't talk with the folks at Trane about this, I'm making the assumption that cool is also that duty cycling, while the stage 2 cool is really referring to the variable capacity side of the equipment. Now there's one more sensor that I wanted to show you, and this is networked. It's talking with the thermostat. Not much to see right here on the wall, but this is on the second level, on the main level of the house. There's a basement, a main level, and an upper level. And this helps to give information to the thermostat so it too could end up having it call for heating or cooling as needed. Let's go ahead and take a look at the app for that. So we're back at the tablet. We're just here from the dashboard, and we can see the new sensor. It's actually showing that we're 1 degree warmer than we are upstairs. So we can see it's got a 71 degree air temperature. It was last updated about an hour ago, so that may have changed even by now. We've got these sensor readings of the air temperature. It's got a little bit more relative humidity down here. However, given the air temperature difference, it might actually have the same absolute humidity. If we tap on settings, we can actually refresh the device. So let's go ahead and do that. can see this little circle spinning down here. It's communicating. All right, refresh device information. Let's see if that changed anything. Not really. So there you go, but at least it gives you an idea of that you can see that new sensor is what it's called here. We can change that name if we wanted to just sensor because it's not really new anymore. And there you go. Nice to see what we can do with that. There is more to it. We can actually change and have a percentage of which sensor, whether it's at the thermostat or it's at this, calls for more heating or cooling, which one kind of takes precedence. We can even set up another sensor in the house. Of course, the more sensors we have, the more complicated it becomes, but it's nice to see that we have all of those features. Well, that brings us to the end of the walkthrough of the thermostat. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it took a fair amount of time walking through each of those features, but maybe you just learned something in general about thermostats, or maybe something specific with this particular thermostat. This is probably the direction things are going. More interconnectivity, more interrelationships. In the future, I would love to do a house that has all of the different HVAC pieces of equipment synchronized, harmonized, working from a central coordinator. But for the time being, to have this thermostat that can coordinate between all of these different pieces of equipment is fantastic. And for an HVAC tech to see what's been running and what hasn't been running is really a good thing to be able to have. So I hope you enjoyed this. I enjoyed filming it. I enjoyed learning. And if you like this or like the channel, subscribe it. I'm on Instagram, Pioneer Builders Inc. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. I don't pretend to be an expert on all of this stuff. Pretty much none of it. But I sure enjoy learning, and I learn from people who make comments too. So please don't hesitate. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a nice day.